Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the TFB show, Talking Football Daily. And I'm your host, Kennedy, and I'll be talking to you about what's going on in the world of football. Now, let's get right into it. Ange Postecoglou has been sacked. Guys, what do you think about it? Do you think Daniel Levy and Tottenham Hotspur management board made the best decision to sack Ange Postecoglou? Well, some might say yes, some might say no. But what I think is better for everybody. But I think the word sacked is too much dramatized. Should have been Ange Postecoglou parted ways. They should have had an agreement to just part ways and everybody goes. And Ange Postecoglou goes as a winner, while Tottenham Hotspur try to get their club up to a position where it ought to be in the Premier League table, because that's the only reason. I mean, what the man did was a great job, coming out, taking a risk, making a huge provocative statement like that, knowing that he's not the favorite to win anything because Tottenham Hotspur don't usually win things. But he said, I usually win things in my second season. And he corrected himself and he said, I always win things in my second year. And he did that. He kept his word. He did that. And even with that, it was not enough to keep his job. But that's what it means when you get 17th in the Premier League table. You know, 17th position on the Premier League table is like last. Once you're 17th, you are last, because right now, the 18, 19, 20 is not really relevant again. If you look at last season, the last three clubs that came up went down. That was Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield. They all went back to relegation. And this season, we have the Southampton, the Ipswich, and the Leicester City all going back down to relegation. So it's as if relegation doesn't exist anymore. You know, back then, in those days, in the old days, West Ham got relegated with 42 points. Not this one Manchester United and Tottenham are doing, and they are still getting away with it. So it's like relegation it doesn't exist anymore. It no longer exists. So that's why it looks like, okay, it's just a setback, but there's no consequence for that. But really, there should be consequence for getting 38 in the table. And even in the last day of the Premier League, I didn't really see improvement on Tottenham. How can you start with 1-0 against Brighton, but you're losing the game to 4-1? So there, I don't know if the players really had his back. I don't know if there's unity in that club. One thing I can tell is he did a very big thing, and he will go down as one of the greatest managers of Tottenham Hotspur just by winning the Europa League. Not just any trophy, not the Carabao Cup, not the FA Cup. He couldn't win the Premier League. There was no way he could have done that, but he won the Europa League, and he put Tottenham Hotspur back in the Champions League where they ought to be. So if you look at it and you understand, you might be sympathetic or empathetic and say Ange should have kept his job. But I wish he had like 8th position or 10th position on the Premier League table. Then maybe he could have kept his job. But 17th is like last, because there's no consequence for being last again. We just hope the Leeds, the Sunderland, and the Burnley that came back to the Premier League, I hope one of them stays, but I don't know. Because the clubs that used to be very bad, even the Wolves, the Evertons, they are very, very strong. You think you play Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and you get defeated. But you play Wolves, Bournemouth, Fulham, you still get defeated. So it's the same thing. So there's no like easy game in the Premier League. It's all hard. So I understand why Ange Postecoglou had to be sacked. I feel like it's the best, but it should have been a word more like the parted ways instead of he was sacked. But he will go down as one of the greatest managers of all time. He gave Tottenham, or he tried to imbibe a winning ways mentality to Tottenham. I remember when he said in the press conference that you can't expect us to win when you are hoping that we lose a game just so a rival fan will not win the Premier League. That was Arsenal trying to win the Premier League against Manchester City, and Tottenham Hotspur fans wanted Tottenham to lose so that Manchester City will win the league against Arsenal, knowing fully well that game cost them Champions League. But they still want to be petty and fight over who has not London and things like that, childish things, instead of winning a game of football like you ought to do. So Ange Postecoglou lost half of the fan base just by making a statement like that. He gave Tottenham a style of play. He gave that attacking-minded game. And Ange Postecoglou plays beautiful football. He makes us happy when we watch his game. I always look forward to watching the Tottenham Hotspur game because I love his style of play and how attacking-minded, and I see goals when he's Tottenham game. I always get goals. So that's that on Ange Postecoglou. Second thing is Nigeria is playing against Russia. we wish the Super Eagles victory. Although it's a friendly, it doesn't really matter who wins or who loses. But we'd like to see your country win. So I hope the Super Eagles win against Russia. And with Osimhen to Al Hilal, what about it? What about it? It's a good deal. He's going to get double of the money he earns right now if he takes it. Al Hilal gave Victor Osimhen 24 hours to take the deal, or it will be off the table. What do you think of it? Is he arrogant of Al Hilal? But mind you, you need to understand that the Club World Cup is coming, and the transfer market is only open for 10 days from June 1st to June 10th. So if Al Hilal get a yes or no from Victor Osimhen, they will know where they are right now in terms of a striker. So if he says no, they go and get another striker. If he says yes, they are happy to start with Victor Osimhen because this is June 6th, right? So they only have like 4 days, and transfer market is closed for the Club World Cup, and it will be open later in the summer again. So what do you think, guys, on Ange Postecoglou being sacked? Do you think it was the right decision by Daniel Levy? And do you think Victor Osimhen should take the deal with Al Hilal? Well, I don't know. I think any decision Victor Osimhen makes is good for him because he's loved at Galatasaray. He has all the fans at his back. He plays beautiful football. There's no toxic place there. Everyone is happy with Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen is happy with them. So if Victor Osimhen decides to stay with Galatasaray in Turkey, I would totally understand this and I will not condemn it because it makes sense for Victor Osimhen to stay in Turkey. If he gets a good deal in England, I'll be happy. So far, he don't take a pay cut. But if Victor Osimhen decides to take a pay cut, it's his choice. So there should not be any pressure on the man to do what he wants. But I don't want him to take a pay cut. I want him to be in England. I want him to be in Premier League. I want to see him in a club like Chelsea or Arsenal or Manchester United. I want him as the front man leading the line in the Premier League without it affecting him in any way. And I also want to see if he goes to Al Hilal, he makes his money, he wins game. I mean, he's not going to be benched in Al Hilal. He's a superstar for crying out loud. So any decision Victor Osimhen makes is okay for him. So guys, thank you for watching the TFB show, Talking Football Daily with Kennedy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you. Bye for now.